at face length for it.
Okay, I can say that's fair, but all she was saying was that she was intersex.
Is
That's all. That's
Well,
the
they
only thing
also
that she
made the
was saying.
indication that they had no biological
They
organization.
said they had no
coffee.
biological
I
organization.
told you what it was.
Okay,
You
okay,
also
then.
have to
One
be taking
second,
it.
one second. Coffee, is it part of
I
you?
told you what it was. You would also have to be taking me at
A
face
sheep
value for
part
that.
of hold on, Fiji.
Coffee well into her years. Coffee.
I'm 35.
Are they women or no? Are Jasmine women?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
The
so
family's up
from
here.
Well,
further
personally,
on,
as a
further
woman,
on.
I would never oust a woman because she's more so on the intersex side, or she hasn't had ovaries. There's just certain things as a woman I feel like at the end of the day that she's going to understand. And when I say like woman has, I think sometimes for men it's harder for them to understand there are more scopes to them, whereas women can understand that there are more scopes to us. When I mean more scopes, meaning like all women are not extremely feminine. All women are not wearing dresses. All women, don't function the same way. And likewise, all men don't necessarily function the same way. But instead of being able to accept that, I guess they feel they can't stomp away within their own group. They prefer to kind of like, I guess run through our group to, I guess, become like the leader of women, I guess, in the same way. To me, a lot of trans men are just like men. They just want to like overrule what it is to be a woman what they can't do in their own group. So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, they want to colonize womanhood.
Okay, before we continue, I just want to say real quick, since I do see both points, we're just not gonna talk about personal things at all. So if you bring up something personal, I'm just gonna probably like drop you because we can't prove anything that's personal to us.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that wasn't.
I mean, we can prove if you have a condition or not. Like that's provable.
Okay, let's just move on.
Sheep sounds female anyways, so I'm pretty sure it's a female DSD if it is a DSD.
What?
I said let's move on. Let's move on. We're not going to talk about anything personal.
Sorry, I didn't
anymore.
hear
Let's
that.
just move on.
Well, yeah. Do you guys have a rebuttal to us saying that everybody, including those with intersex conditions, are still going to be organized around that of one of the pathways?
I agree with that.
No,
Okay.
because there is mosaicism. When there's a chromosomal disorder that happens after the cells have already begun to split.
Yeah, so all of those disorders primarily denote to one or the other, right? There is some primary denotation. And the reason that we can or an example I can give for this, right, is something like ovarian testicular disorder or something of that nature, right? If you have something like this where you have extra tissue, they are forced to remove that excess tissue because it can become cancerous or cystic, right? So it can become infectious to your body. It can become detrimental and even necrotic and cause you major medical issues later in life if it is not removed early. The earlier that it is removed, and the reason why we try to do this as early as possible, is due to the fact that it would reduce the amount of scarring, because the healing rate for children is actually much higher than whenever you're an adult, just because of the elasticity and the regenerative systems within the human body are still there. The cells are new. They are still reproducing very quickly. They're reproducing very healthily, and they haven't had as much of a chance to mutate and develop problems within their DNA code.
So mosaicism isn't really all that similar to that. So what I mean by mosaicism is if you have XY chromosomes and you begin to split, and right, the Y chromosome has the SRY gene, right? And the SRY gene triggers the extra production of both testosterone and DHT. And your cells are splitting, and then one of those cells loses the Y chromosome, and you just have one X. And then they keep splitting. And because the X is programmed to go one way, because whether or not the Y gene is there, it's going to go the same way.
So that's not quite how it works, right? You have a defective SRY gene from the beginning, or you have androgen insensitivity, right?
You don't
So
have
either
a defective SRY gene. It's there and it's working, because actually with XYX mosaicism, it's about, I can't remember the numbers because this is also in the Journal of Andrology, but it may take a few scrolls back to find it. But I believe it's somewhere around 90% tend to present as phenotypically male, while there are some who present as phenotypically female, but they still have two pathways that their different chromosomes throughout their body are following.
So you're talking about like a form of like chimerism where they have two different genetic variations, right?
Yeah, like
and
two sets of DNA.
Yeah, that's chimerism.
Referred in the forms of like, conjoined twins, but I think that definition still applies. Yeah.
So
they're
chimerism
not male
is typically
and female though. Like that's
they're
not
not
how that works.
Yeah, they're not. And this is the thing, right? They can have like either replicating DNA within their system that was assimilated from a twin. They could have leftover material from this, that, or the other that they've assimilated in their system and has continued to replicate. Another egg within the ovary could have assimilated at that point and been drawn in, and then so twins were never even a thing. But this
they would still have a second sex chromosome. When it comes
they have an extra sex chromosome,
they don't have
right?
that second chromosome. So
Yeah,
it also happens to actually people with Down syndrome. You can have mosaic Down syndrome where your cells start splitting, and then somewhere along those lines, you have that extra chromosome. And
that's contributable to different factors, right? Things that can happen, right? But there's a simple concept, right? The exceptions do not disprove the rule. They prove them, right? So we have basic rules and understanding of biology and how it's supposed to function. Now, when things go off the rails, whether through mutation or other things such as disorders, genetical disorders, a breaking in the DNA chain, something like that, where a protein breaks down when it wasn't supposed to, like all of these other things, right?
What are we talking about? I'm sorry, I'm lost.
It's okay. Like we're getting into like the nitty gritty of how we identify males and females within any species, and then what can happen during gestation and during conception.
Like developmental disorders which don't like create an additional sex or make someone half and half.
He's talking about, the biological essentials and how bodies are organized to follow a different pathway. And as he got into that, I was talking about how it's not always organized, though it's kind of a different, we're going down a different branch here. So that's just what we're following.
Oh,
yeah, we're basically trying to follow each other's logic with a kind of nitty gritty understanding of the biological traits that happen and how they replicate within specific species.
Mm-hmm.
It does get confusing though, because like this isn't something that can be like, it's not something that you can like break down too easily without losing some of the nuances of the conversation.
Yeah, because even though we're jumping down this path and I'm talking about the different biological things, I would like to say, like, in the essence, in the whole, I was actually trying to make a different point earlier. I didn't get to it, but that's okay. I'm just glad this chat is respectful, because the last one that I was in it got wild, so.
Yeah.
Well, I always try to be respectful because I want people to be respectful to me, right? And now if you're disrespectful to me, Coffee knows I can get very disrespectful if you want to be, but.
Oh no, I wasn't alive and I was trying to I was debating with the girl